Very welcome along to another episode of the Gaelic Statsman podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Hurley, and it is the All-Ireland football final, the game we've all been waiting for all season long. It is between two sides that wouldn't have been expected to be here at the start of the year. Let's just fair to say, between Galway and Armagh. No Dublin, no Kerry. We have two new teams on the block. It's brilliant to see, obviously. I'm delighted to be joined by former Monaghan footballer and owner of the Gaelic Tactics Board, Stephen Gallogly, to join and contribute to this discussion on the Armagh Galway game. So first of all, Stephen, Armagh Galway in the final, I don't think many people would have expected it to be this way, but it's great for Gaelic football, and hopefully we'll have a good game on Sunday.
Yeah, novel pairing, as they say. So it's going to be a new name in the cup for 20 odd years. Galway or Armagh. Looking forward to it. Nice to have new teams involved, whether it's club football, club hurling, inter-county. It brings a level of excitement with it. Looking forward to it. Only got me tickets last night. Very, very hard to get tickets. Seems to be like gold dust. Armagh always travel. They've great supporters, in fairness to them. And Galway the same too. They want their Sam Maguire, so I'm sure they'll have a massive crowd at it as well. So, looking forward to going up to Dublin now on Sunday.
Just before we get into the logistics of the game and things like that, how on earth did you get tickets? They're so hard to get.
Yeah, I'm a school teacher by trade, and I work in RD Community School in Louth there, and I didn't win the raffle. There's like 8 or 10 coaches of us. There's the GA in the school. We get 2 tickets, and I didn't win that. And another fielder or 2 out, and nothing back. And then a buddy of mine, Anthony Monaghan, he's a lad from Camogie. He's emigrated. He's in America now, in New York. He got me a ticket. He won tickets in a draw, and he's good at contacts, whatever. So I got my phone call last night near midnight. So I'm delighted. Yeah, good man. Anthony's involved heavily with the Monaghan club over in New York. His brother David's chairman as well, and he's heavily involved in Rockland GA in upstate New York. So shout out to the Rockland club. Yeah, fair play to them.
Exactly. It's great that they get a shout out on this podcast at least. Yeah, I'd say it's brilliant for anybody that got the tickets. Well done to all of you. Well done to Steve for getting a ticket as well. But so very hard to get. Like the hurling last week, it's so hard to get these All-Ireland tickets. And Denise commented here, I won't be able to tune into live, unfortunately, but definitely will listen later on. And thank you for that, Denise. But we will get into the game, obviously. The All-Ireland Senior Football Championship Final, Armagh against Galway. Sunday, 3:30, RT2 and BBC2. From my knowledge anyway, it's going to be on BBC2, not just Northern Ireland, but across the board as well, like the hurling last weekend as well. So this game, first of all, Stephen, did you expect these two sides to be in the final at the start of the season?
No, you wouldn't have been picking them. Like, to me, it was Dublin. I expected Dublin to beat Galway in the quarter-final, and it didn't happen. Just Galway had their patch in the second half and dominated and got the win. So no one expected it. Then Kerry, everyone was thinking, like, there wasn't too many, say, neutrals back in Armagh against Kerry. Kerry were going well the whole game. They were up 4 or 5 points most of the game until, say, 50 odd minutes, 55. Then Armagh got the momentum and extra time, and they done the business. They grounded out. They're battle hardened. They're driven. They won't go away, in fairness to the lads. So no, I didn't call it, and I don't think many other people outside their own counties were calling it either. Like, so it's going to be interesting Sunday. Yeah.
It definitely is. And the beauty of having this podcast on a Friday morning is the teams have already been announced. So we'll look at the Armagh team first of all. One change from the Kerry game. Barry McCambridge moved back to quarterback. Conor Mackin moves into the number 5 position. And it's Peter McGrain that moves out of the team and onto the bench from an Armagh point of view. So one change from the Kerry game. Galway, it's quite interesting lineup because one name and number 9, Sean Kelly. Apparently, he is going to be there for the All-Ireland final. We don't know the logistics behind it, obviously. That could all change Sunday morning. We'll have to see about that. But look at the two teams there, Stephen. Like, were you surprised that Conor Mackin came in for Peter McGrain? And are you surprised that Sean Kelly has come in for Galway?
Yeah, so you don't know, like, when you're not inside the camp, you don't know what's going on. Young McGrain, he could be carrying a knock from the semi-final the last day. He mightn't have trained much, could have nicked quad muscle, hamstring. So we don't know McGrain done well the last day against Kerry. He scored the first Armagh point of the game, kicking in the hill 16. Seems to be composed, assured of himself, but he loses out. Sometimes that he could get the start. You could have lads sick before a game, or that mightn't be a true reflection. Could be a few changes. Soupy Campbell could be in, Nugent could be in. We don't know. But McGeeney, these managers are very experienced, could have anything up their sleeves. So, but Mackin coming back, and he's played most of championship games this last few years. He's a mainstay of McGeeney's setup. So I'd say he'll slot seamlessly in if he does come in. With Pádraig Joyce, then he seems more of a traditionalist, Pádraig. To me, he's very honest in his interviews, and he's refreshing to listen to. He calls it out. He won't care what people are thinking of him or saying of him. He just calls it out. Especially after the Connacht final, it was Mayo and Galway, and he more or less came out after the game and said, yeah, our opponents, they were, which Mayo, he didn't openly say Mayo, but he said our opponents, and there'd be no love lost over the West. They are the great rivals, and he just says they were doing all the talking and this couple of years, and they've won nothing. So Galway got their three Connacht titles, and they've done their business, and they've done their talking on the field. And in fairness to Pádraig, he seems to be a traditionalist type of man. He'll name his 15, and them lads probably will start. I think Kelly will start as well. He's a month recuperation under his belt, so hopefully he does as well.
Hopefully Sean Kelly does start, because he's an amazing player, and hopefully he will play second dollar in the final in his career. But we will move on to this, the jury and the scores for both sides. So we'll start off with one by one. Obviously, we'll start off with the Ulster finalists, Armagh. So their journey to the final, they beat Fermanagh on the first day out 3-11 to 9 points, then beat Down by 13 points to 2-6, lost to Donegal after a penalty shootout after extra time, lost 6-5 on penalties after a 20-point apiece draw, beat Westmeath 16 points to 11, hammered Derry 3-17 to 15 points, drew against Galway, that was the last beat between the sides in Markievicz Park, 1-12 to 15 points, beat Roscommon in the other quarter-final 2-12 to 12 points, beat Kerry then after extra time 118 to 116. They've averaged a score of 116 per game and conceded an average of 14 points. Looking at the scores here, Conor Turbitt is in brilliant form at the moment. 3 goals and 22 points in the championship this season, and he is the second top scorer from play, only behind Conor Callahan this season. Rian O'Neill 112, Rory Grugan has 14 points, Stephen Campbell has 110, you have Oisin Connaughton at 10 points, Barry McCambridge 2-4. Obviously the 2 goals were against firstly Roscommon in the quarterfinal and then Kerry in the semi-final. Did have 8 Nugent, 8 Varker, and Tiernan Kelly all have a total of 7 as well. So if you look at those, Stephen, like, there are threats in the Armagh team, the likes of Turbitt, the likes of Rian O'Neill, especially the likes of Rory Grugan, but the defence has been really good. An average of no goal conceded per game. They've only conceded 3 goals this championship campaign in 2 games, against Down and against Kerry. Obviously, the Kerry goal was a bit of a scrap with the Paul Murphy goal. So defensively and offensively, the Armagh team have done really well, and especially Conor Turbitt up front has really started.
Yeah, defensively, they're very tight. At the back, there's no lost cause, in fairness to the Armagh defence. They will dive on any ball, on a boot, get their head in, whatever it is, they'll throw themselves about on it. Which is great to see in any team. They'll go to their end. So defensively, definitely they're tough. They'll get stuck into you. And offensively, Turbitt, he was quiet the last day now, the semi-final against Kerry. So players, if you're quiet one game, you can really the next game. So there's a big one. Armagh fans and his teammates will be expecting a big one out of him, indeed.
Yeah, definitely so. But even look at the goals they've conceded, only 3 in the championship so far. Like, that's an incredible statistic in its own right, and only 2 games against Down, where like Down went for goals, and that when they got the goals in the end. Kerry was a bit of a scrappy goal as well. Would you argue Aaron McKay at fullback and Blaine Hughes in goal have been the best players in their position in this championship campaign? A lot of people think that Blaine Hughes has been excellent in goal, coming in for Rafferty. Obviously, Rafferty loves to come out a bit. Blaine Hughes is more conservative. Then you have Aaron McKay, who's been absolutely brilliant in the fullback role. So what do you think of them 2 players in particular?
Yeah, they're in form. They're going well. Just have her here on. Yeah, Blaine Hughes. Yeah, he just slotted straight back in. Ethan Rafferty, he was the in-form keeper this last year, 2 years, driving forward, all-star material, and then pushed out. I think he was injured, pushed out, and it's seamless playing. Hughes' kickouts are on the money. He seems confident and assured of himself. So they are solid at the back. But just the games you went through there, it's mad how a season goes, and you do need a bit of luck along the way. Like the semi-final Ulster Championship, Down and Armagh, Down could have beat them that day. It went to the wire, went to the very, very end, and Down would have been disappointed they didn't do it. And Armagh kept going, kept motoring, and they're chasing Sam now. They're only 74 minutes away from lifting Sam Maguire and taking it back down the road, which is insane when you think about it. And the other game I think was a turning point was the Derry game up in Celtic Park. They were after just getting over Westmeath, the first game back after they're very disappointed losing the Ulster final and penalties to Donegal. They got over it against Westmeath. They were expected to do that. They didn't know where they were going to be at against Derry. They went up to Derry and they hammered Derry. And I think that was a statement. And it would have given them great steel and team morale that we're still here. We're one of the top teams in Ireland. We could do this. And it seems to have transpired that way. They're there. They could do it. They could go down as one of the most unique victories ever in our games, that they've never won an Ulster Championship, that group of lads. There could be one or two, as Nugent or Faulkner got a medal, not many of them, to go the whole way through and win Sam Maguire, which would be unbelievable, really.
Be much like the scenario with Clare last week. No Munster title, 2 All-Ireland titles. So is that omen in there for Armagh?
Could be. I never thought of the hurling that way too, yeah. It's exactly, yeah. So you're well going, maybe, as they say, aim high, go straight for the top, and take whatever else comes with. But it could be a good omen indeed, Matthew, yeah.
Well, from an Armagh point of view, I'd say Armagh fans would be hoping that omen would be definitely there on Sunday. Look at Galway's journey to the final and their scores in this campaign. So they started off the campaign in Rysla, beating London by 5 goals to 21 points to 9 points. Edged over Sligo 113 to 14 points. That last minute goal for Rob Finnerty was enough to beat Sligo that day in Markievicz Park. Beat Mayo in the Connacht final 16 points to 15. Then beat Derry 214 to 15 points. Beat Westmeath 112 to 11 points. Drew against Armagh 15 points to 112. They beat Monaghan 14 points to 11 in the preliminary quarter-final. Beat Dublin in Croke Park, a memorable game, obviously 17 points to 16, and they beat Donegal 114 to 15 points. They've averaged a score of 115 per game and conceded an average of 13 points. Only 1 goal conceded in the championship so far as well. That was coincidentally against Armagh, the Tierra Kelly strike in Markievicz Park, which is kind of weird when you think about it, but look at Galway's scores in this campaign. Robert Finnerty with 1 goal and 33 points. Shane Walsh, 1 goal and 26. Paul Conroy, 35 years of age at midfield, 2 goals and 13 points this season, which is absolutely brilliant. Cian Darcy, 2 goals and 6 points. Johnny Heaney with 8 points. You've Matthew Tierney there with 7, and Tom O'Culhan with 2-1. You've others like Dylan McHugh, Killy McDade, and Damien Comer following up as well from a Galway point of view. But Stephen, again, we have to go to the defence. 1 goal conceded all year for Galway in the championship against Armagh. That is superb.
Yeah, it's a massive record. Defensive structure as well. They play tight. I'll just go through it on the board here. Yeah, we'll go to Galway side. Pádraig Joyce, he has moved to modern methods as well. Initially, when he came in to the Galway job, I can remember him doing an interview, and he said, we're going to play expansive attacking football. And he went with that for a period of time, and it wasn't successful. And in fairness to him, he went back and he was big enough and bold enough. No, we have to change here. And they went away from their tradition. Like Galway is a traditional county. They have plenty of All-Irelands. They love their football down there. Club football is very strong as well, but Corofin, etc. But they do get an awful lot of lads back. They will be covering the D. They'll get their forwards going back, they'll clog it up and they'll break at pace. But only conceding 1 goal in a full year of championship football is an unbelievable record. And they'll want to be keeping it tight on Sunday as well. But interesting as well, similar to Armagh, goes to show the sign of a good team. You keep grinding away. Like Galway to me haven't totally clicked this year yet, compared to a season or two ago. Lucky against Sligo, Connacht Championship, a pint in the Connacht final against Mayo. Monaghan nearly sneaked, I think it was 14-11 come up there on the screen. Monaghan were missing an awful lot of players that day as well, and Monaghan, that game went to the wire. They could have beat Galway, but gradually Galway got the momentum. They've had an awful lot of injuries all year, and they got it right at the right time. Sean Kelly's named to start, their captain and linchpin. So they're just coming right at the right time of the year. So it's going to be fascinating. But defensively, yeah, they're tough at the back. Don't be tested one-on-one. Sean Fitzgerald, I've never really seen him being taken on one-on-one. So as a spectator now, neutral looking in, I don't really know what he's like as a defender because there's always help around him. His two corner men, they're small in size. They're tenacious. Johnny McGrath, Jack Glynn, they're great footballers, in fairness. They look the real deal. They look like players who are deserving of all Ireland medals. Mulcairn as well, wing back to me. He looks so athletic, and his movement, his body shape, he just looks the real deal. He's an Aran Island man. I know Galway were out training in the Aran Islands, and there's just something nice about it. Your culture, your heritage, that's the Aran Islands are Galway, and it would have been a nice training camp, I would say, out there. But he's an Island man, a Gaelic man, so he's going well. He's in form. Liam Silk, goal of 6, from the famous Corofin club. He's just a very physically strong player, serious set of legs, and powerful. Never lets his team down. Anytime I've seen him this year watching there. And McHugh, wing back. I played against McHugh in America in Chicago a handful of years ago, and very fit. Just box to box, up and down. He's great hands. He can fist the ball, left hand, right hand. He's a smooth player. So as a unit, they're doing it all year. So can they do it one more game Sunday? We'll know in 2 days.
Even bring you back to Johnny McGrath, one of the quarterbacks, to see the stature of the week. He kept Ryan O'Donoghue to 1 point from play. He kept Paul Mannion to 1 point from play. He kept Shea McGuigan to 2 points from play. I know we'll get on to matchups in a sec later on the chat, but is he an obvious candidate to go on Conor Turbitt, given Conor Turbitt's form for Armagh?
You'd imagine so. Yeah, you'd imagine so. He snuffed out all the other top players, so you'd imagine he's the main man marker, so you'd expect that, yeah.
And Dylan McHugh, you mentioned that you played against him over in America, and obviously you've come up against him. Would you have seen Dylan McHugh as a potential Footballer of the Year candidate even back then?
Honestly, I didn't. He was only breaking out. Well, he would have had youth. I don't know what age he was back then, maybe 19, 20. He was just getting into his Corofin team. He might have always been starting, but I definitely didn't say that, no, this man is going to be a top player for. I would have marked him as well, maybe 2-3 games in Chicago, but I definitely didn't think he was going to be a top player that he's developed into. But it goes to show it takes a few years for that to happen. But he seemed to be a steady lad. I would have been talking to him after games in the bar or whatever, and he'd be a sound lad. He wasn't a headbanger or anything. So you knew the way it's gone now, if you have a steady head, it goes an awful lot, a long way in Gaelic football.
Definitely so. There's a lot to delve into, obviously, with the Galway and Armagh matchup, so we'll discuss that in a bit. But look at the average stats per game. Now, these are as average stats per game that I've taken throughout the championship season. Obviously, Armagh doesn't include the Westmeath game, which wasn't televised, and Galway doesn't include the game against Sligo and the game against Westmeath, which 2 of them weren't televised. But the rest of the games involving Galway and Armagh were all taken by me during the championship. And I put them as an average, basically, throughout the championship campaign. So both sides are very, very similar looking at all these stats here. Average score for 115 for Galway, 116 for Armagh, 111 from play for Galway, 112 from play for Armagh. So this is very, very tight to call here. Concession, 14 points for Armagh, 13 points for Galway, 11 for play for Armagh, 10 points for play for Galway. Number of shots per game, Armagh 28, Galway 26. Shots conceded, Armagh 27, Galway 25. Shot conversion rate, Armagh 61%, Galway 62%. Opposition conversion rates, that's the conversion rate for the opposition that they were playing on the day. Armagh's 52%, Galway's 52%. So again, very, very similar. own kick-out percentage won. Armagh's 89%, but Galway's is 84%. But worth pointing out, Galway usually go long. They had 17 long kick-outs against Donegal compared to Armagh's. I think Armagh had close to none against Kerry as well. So they normally go short. Galway normally go long. So that has to be taken into account as well. Opposition kick-out won. Armagh's 17%. Galway's 18%. Turnovers won. Armagh's 18. Galway's 16. Turnovers lost. Armagh's 17. Galway's 14. Fouls. Armagh's 13. Galway's 10. And frees won. Galway are winning in that department with 14-11. And yellow cards throughout the whole year. Armagh 50 yellow cards and Galway have 9. So look at those stats, Stephen. It is so evenly matched and probably just epitomises how close these sides are in terms of their championship performances. Even look at their shooting conversion rates, their kick-out winning percentage rate, their turnovers won. It's very, very similar. And this probably shows this game is so difficult to call.
It's mad looking through there. Your stats match the more or less like for like. The one just popped out at me there. The kickouts, Armagh 5% more efficiency on their kickout, which that seems to be the biggest stretch. Just quickly looking at them there, could be a big one. Like down the keepers, like Gleeson, the goalie man, he has made a few mistakes over the years. He could be susceptible to an odd one. So hopefully he doesn't for the lad himself on Sunday, and the same for Blaine Hughes, because it's a lonely place in Croke Park all Ireland final day. If you make a big mistake and it's a talking point after the game, if you're a defender, you make a mistake, you have 70 minutes to make up for it. You can go, you can make it happen, make a big play, whatever. Goalkeepers, you don't really get that chance. So goalkeeping, minding the nets on Sunday is going to be massive, yeah.
Just in the semi-final against Donegal with Conor Gleeson's long kickouts, were you impressed with those? 17 long kickouts, 16-1 against Donegal. Donegal pushed up on them. Does that probably just show that Galway might have the advantage in the midfield area over Armagh this Sunday?
Don't know. Armagh midfield are strong also. Creeley and Grimley, they're in form, in fairness to them. Big, strong, athletic lads. They can catch high balls. But Gleeson is a bomb of a kick out. He can kick it 70, 80 metres, which is massive, into the far opposition. And it takes serious pressure off your defence when that is the case. If in doubt, you just launch it out. But it's just a tactical one. Joyce and the Galway lads reckon to get more off it, whereas Armagh reckon they can be more patient. We're going to go short. We'll work it up the field and see can we make anything out of it.
Just before we get into the head-to-head record, would you actually be worried for Armagh if Galway decide to push up on their kickouts? Because it showed in the semi-final Kerry didn't do so that much, and the one kickout Armagh did lose is because Blaine Hughes kicked the charge, Kerry won the hot ball, and Paddy Clifford put it over the bar. That was the only kickout that Armagh lost in the whole game against Kerry. Would you be actually worried if Galway push up on the Armagh kickouts and Armagh would have to think of a plan B if they can't kick the ball short?
No, Armagh is strong enough out around the middle of the park. They'll compete for anything. The two boys we just mentioned, Rian O'Neill, throw them in there. They'll go for anything. They won't be fearing anything like that, I wouldn't think, no.
And look at the head-to-head record. Obviously, the Cork and Clare game was a lot more sparse last weekend. This game, you look at this, there's only been 6 championship meetings between the sides. Armagh have only won 1 in 2023, obviously the game in Carrick and Shannon last year where Shane Walsh missed that last minute free. There's been 2 draws between the sides. 2022, obviously, Galway won that game on penalties. And this year, Markovich Park. And Galway won 3 games against Armagh in the championship, 2001, 2013, and 2015 as well. So look at the record, Stephen. Do you think Ciara McGeady would be worried about that? Armagh have only won 1 game against Galway in their championship history. And even that game, Shane Walsh missed that last minute free. If that goes over, we could have been talking about a different story.
No. That's the last year and 2022, 2 draws and 1 win or 1 they're more or less the exact same. So it's well balanced. The other ones, what was that? 15, 13, and 0. It's way back. They're different players, and I don't think it has a bearing on it. To be honest, no, definitely not. New team, new players, youth. They won't even be looking back on history books. No. They'll be driving it forward. So, no, don't think it'll be an issue.
And even look at matchups now, like from an Armagh defensive point of view, and a Galway attacking point of view, who would you see as the obvious matchups? Would you see Armagh go on Damien Comer? Would you see potentially? Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Could be. Yeah, it's hard to know. As you said, Johnny McGrath would probably pick up Torbett. It all comes down to who's going to start. We don't know yet. Like, then on the other side, Galway, like the Galway side, they're going to take watching. Like the Galway inside lane to me is far more dangerous than the Armagh inside lane, because Rian O'Neill has been playing out the field most of the year. I would say he starts usually wears 11, I think, but he'll play roving role out here. Whereas 2-3 years ago, he was your inside man on the square. Okay, so then on the other way, Galway's inside lane to me is so dangerous. Like Comer, and he hasn't clicked yet. His form, say last year, the year before, he was unstoppable. I used to call him the beast. He had more weight. He was sort of more powerful of himself. He's trimmed down a wee bit. He had an awful lot of injuries. He was quietish the last day. Wasn't that explosive or dangerous. So he's another 2 weeks training under his belt. I can see Comer having a massive game. And then Walsh as well. He seems to be struggling with injuries, not fully flying. And we all know what Shane Walsh can do. He's probably the most skillful player in the game at the moment. So the two boys, they're going to take serious watching. Finnerty, he lacks raw explosiveness and power, I would think, a wee bit, but he's a crafty player. If he gets the ball here in any space, okay, he's the sweetest left foot around. It's going over the bar. Bang, bang, bang. He's a marksman. So, but he can be marked. He still could be marked. A tough, aggressive player. And Rob Finnerty, like, I've never seen him getting man of the match awards in Croke Park, that he's really exploded onto the scene. So Armagh will be trying to keep him quiet again. But there could be a big one in him yet. Okay, he's crafty. Spaces could open up and he can slot them over. So it's going to be fascinating. The two boys inside, like, it's the scary proposition. If you just put Comer, Shane Walsh, if Finnerty's playing a wee bit deeper, if they get quick ball up here before the Armagh defence is back, kicking into Hill 16, we'll say here, or into the Canal, the Davin, they're brilliant to watch. Like, so it'll be great to seeing the two boys live on Sunday.
You mentioned earlier Sean Fitzgerald, the Galway fullback, is a bit, let's just say, inexperienced. A guy's running at him, and you'd question the speed that he has. Would it be great for Armagh to put a speedster on him rather than Andrew Murnan? Andrew Murnan's normally a high fielding player, very good in the full forward line, obviously, but maybe that would be ideal for Sean Fitzgerald's strengths. So from an Armagh point of view, would you think about putting Oisín Connaughty or somebody like that in the full forward line just to test Fitzgerald a small bit?
Could be. Well, first thing is, I don't know anything about his speed, Matthew. That was your call. He could be the fastest man in the defence, so I'm not actually sure on his speed. But I said I've never really seen him on one-on-one tackling, okay, or a wee twist and turn, okay. Has he fast feet with a man taking him on? But Moran's a handful, okay, as a full forward. He was quiet the last day in the semi-final. I think he was taken off early enough. But Moran, on his day, he's sort of a jinky style of a player. Can be very, very dangerous. He's a good man for a goal. So himself, he'll be expecting a big one from himself, Conor Moran. But if it was like years ago on a one-on-one, the way the game used to be played, it'd be very, very interesting seeing some of the matchups. But that day is gone now. So there always seems to be more cover around both these on both teams, both sides of the field. But Fitzgerald, to me, he just hasn't been tested, what I've seen so far. So today he could shine on Sunday. And a lot of times over the years, man of the match awards in all Ireland finals, hurling or football, it can be a lesser known player that will get them. Tom Sullivan, cornerback from Kerry, from the team of the Naughties, he would have picked up man of the match awards in all Ireland finals. Ryan Mellon was another one. Tyrone, he wouldn't have been in your top 7 stars of the team. He won man of the match awards, and numerous other players like that over the years. So maybe Sean Fitz will take home his crystal on Sunday night as well with Sam Maguire.
Really. So, like, even looking from an Armagh point of view, you pointed out that Rian O'Neill normally drifts into midfield and doesn't usually play in the centre forward line. Would that, like, who would you pick for Galway to mark Rian O'Neill in this game? Because obviously Rian O'Neill will have an influence. It's a big call. Yeah, it's a big one from a Galway point of view. Would you put Liam Silk or something like that on him?
Could be Liam Silk. To me, Liam Silk wouldn't be a jumper. Okay, he's a set centre half, say. Whereas Rian O'Neill is a fielder. He can jump and raise for a ball. Conroy possibly, because Conroy's a fielder as well. He's good jumping capacity. Sean Kelly could be. So it's going to be interesting. Sean Kelly, like a year ago, Sean Kelly was leading that Galway team. He was captain. I say he was getting 50% man of the match awards in the championship games, even more. He just kept going, getting them. He was absolutely flying. He was wearing number 3. I remember bombing forward. A lot of injuries. He's had 4 weeks rest. He didn't do anything in the semi-final. So he could have a massive match on Sunday as well. So yeah, they could put him on Rian O'Neill. Okay, but Rian O'Neill is the man that makes Armagh tick. He made a few big plays for me in the semi-final against Kerry. He kicked a couple of outrageous scores. It was him that kicked the big high ball in for the goal. So he's a key player for them. Another one here, we didn't even mention him really, was McDade, Galway. Like he's got man of the match awards for Galway in Croke Park last year. He was just kicking bombs 40, 50 metres out. His accuracy was unbelievable. So he was quietish in the semi-final. So I expect Killian McDade, he could be giving us a big game on Sunday as well.
Could we see a situation in midfield that there could be 3 or 4 midfielders from each side? Because you look at Galway, you have John Marriott centre forward, you have Killian McDade at wing forward, you have Sean Kelly, you have Paul Conroy, you have Matthew Tierney, who's well able to win a ball as well. The height of him is unquestioned. It's absolutely brilliant from his point of view. Then from Armagh's point of view, you have Rian O'Neill there, you have Grimley, you have Creeley, you have other players like Tierney Kelly and Nate Varker, the half back line. They usually go out and attack as well. So could we see the situation in midfield for midfield battles where we could have 3 or 4 midfielders from either side around the middle?
Without a doubt. Well, as you say, Conor Gleeson, he bombs the ball. The stats show he kicks most of it long out the field. So it's going to go straight out, and there's going to be a drop zone out around, say, the far 65, and whoever's willing to get in front of their man and get break ball or catching it clean, it's going to have a big bearing on the match. So primary possession is massive in modern Gaelic games, hurling or football. So that is going to be a fascinating battle. Like, and Tierney's playing really well this last few years. He's a quality player. He can do anything. You could start him number 8 or 9. Lovely left foot, and he always gets a score or two coming in here. So he's the type of player you could trust. His pedigree, his father played a lot of sport. Galway, I know I read he was paralysed in a Sigerson game. They were driving home, we go NUIG, driving back, Sigerson game in Dublin, and a bad car crash, and paralysed as a young man, which is an awful, sad story to hear. And his son has just kept the legacy going, county player with Galway, and he's an unbelievable talent as well.
Definitely so, and it was a tragic story, obviously, and hopefully Galway win the All-Ireland for their sakes to keep the memory going there. But like, you look at the Armagh team overall, like Joe McElroy wing forward, Tierney Kelly at centre back, Aidan Varker wing back. Like, it just epitomises to me, I think, that Tierney Kelly's usually a forward, Aidan Varker's usually an attacking kind of defender, Joe McElroy's more of a defensive player as well. So, like, it suggests to me from an Armagh point of view that these fellas won't line up 1 to 15 as simply as that. I think there'll be a lot of drifting. There'll be a lot of players going back into the back line. There'll be a lot of players going into the forward line. What do you think about that yourself? Do you think the likes of Tierney Kelly will play more of an attacking role in this game just to avoid being caught out in defensive situations?
Don't know, but as usually the way the game's gone, and Tierney Kelly's one of them players, you could put go Armagh colours. You could put number 2 on his back, and he could do the same role 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You could put him. He usually was wearing 12 as a wing forward. Did I see any glimpses of him as an inside man? Not really. But from number 12 back to 2, he's a utility player. You could play him anywhere, and he is going. He's playing really well for Armagh. He was highlighted very poorly. Was it 2 years ago? There was a row in Croke Park. The same two teams again, and he was caught badly on TV. But he was slated for it. He was only a young man. He made a mistake. He was lynched for it. But I was delighted to see him getting back into the Armagh team the next year or two. He had a chance in the Ulster final. The game was a draw just towards the end of the match. I think he had a mark, and I was hoping he'd put it over for his sake. It would give him a big lift, but he didn't just nail it. But he's going well, in fairness to him. And if he won, and for an awful lot of the Armagh boys, if they win their All-Ireland medal on Sunday, a lot of the hurt will be forgotten about from years gone by.
Before we get into a prediction, looking at the bench briefly as well, like you look at Galway's bench, what Pádraig Joyce has done is built a squad, and you could definitely see that from the bench. You have John Daly there. He can't get back at the team because of how well Liam Silk is playing at the moment. You also have Ciarán Malloy, a very attacking-minded player from Cork as well. Colin Sweety's a very good player. Johnny Healy is an excellent option to come onto the pitch as well. Tom O'Culhan came on and got a point against Dublin. Then you look at the Armagh bench as well. Some interesting names here. Greg McCabe is an interesting name to come on. Ross McQuillan, I thought was brilliant when he came on against Kerry last in semi-final. Shane McPartland obviously has potential to come onto the pitch and do rake. Jason Duffy has an All-Ireland medal already this year at intermediate level for his club, St. Patrick's Cullyhanna. He could come onto the pitch and make a difference. Oisin O'Neill, Rian's brother, absolutely excellent at the high fielding game that we talked about in this chat already. Soupy Campbell, obviously, Aidan Nugent, Jarry O'Byrne. So a lot of big names on both benches. But who do you think will make the most impact on Sunday?
Yeah, both very strong. We just jotted these down from earlier on. Soupy Campbell, the word is, are you holding too much back in an All-Ireland final? Sam McGuire that is he going too well that you're going to have to start him? But he's your one. Jarly Og, he done it the last day. He's very fit of himself. He sort of just gets on the ball. He was off a wee bit of form this last while, but he made an impact the last day when he went in. McQuillan done really well, number 24. Oisin O'Neill kicked a massive score, massive pedigree. His brother is one of the linchpins on the team from the famous Cross Midland Rangers club. So there's a splatter of lads, and Galway was the same. Just one man we forgot to mention, and he's been playing really well all year and has really impressed me, is the Galway 11, Johnny Maher. A big lump of a man. He wouldn't be your traditional, say, centre forward that you'd see nowadays. But he's like, I presume he plays midfield with his club. But anything he's asked from Galway, he's done it in the last few games. He's producing it. He's up for the fight. He can score. And a lot of the kickouts probably will be aimed at Big Maher on the 40 down here. So he's a striking player and could be another big game in him as well. But back to the subs. Who else did we mention to go? John Daly, yeah. Malloy has made and Johnny Heaney as well. Johnny comes in every game. He definitely makes an impact. He's a big player. He's been starting for years, and no doubt he's going to see game time on Sunday.
So we talked about matchups. We talked about positions on the pitch used. The tactics brought brilliantly there, Stephen, as well. We talked about scores or journeys to the final, so the logistics behind the final as well. But now it is the big call. We are going to make a prediction for the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship final. Armagh against Galway. Again, Sunday, 3:30, RT2, BBC 2. Who are you saying, Stephen? Armagh for the first time since 2002 or Galway for the first time since 2001?
Well, I'm not going to make my final prediction till before the ball is thrown up. I want to see the warm-ups. I want to see Sean Kelly really wearing number 8 or 9. Is he going hard in the warm-up, in the runs? Is he going to start? Does Comer look fit? Does Shane Walsh look fit and hungry? Are they hobbling? Are they a wee bit off themselves? I'm going to make a closer prediction before throw-in, but I think if them lads are motoring and fit and in form, Galway by a point after extra time.
It's going to be a very, very tight one to call. Yeah, I feel like I said this to you off air. I think this game has a replay written all over it. Like, it's such a difficult one to call. I just feel like Galway have more experience in the final, obviously, in 2022, which should be taken into account as well. They were in that final. It's sometimes the case you have to lose one to win one. And maybe with these Galway players, this is the chance to win one. I do feel like, even reading off the team sheets, Armagh's bench, and the commenters coming here about that, I'd say that Armagh, for Bintley, I'd say that Armagh will win because of the bench will be the difference. And to be honest, looking at the two benches, I think Armagh's bench, a lot of has been made of the Galway defence. I feel like Armagh's bench is better though. Likes of McQuillan, the likes of Duffy, Jardy O'Byrnes, Aidan Nugent, Stephen Campbell, Oisin O'Neill. That's 6 players that I named. And you can only bring on 5 subs in normal time. So if the game does prove to be tight, and if it moves into extra time, a part of me says Armagh could have enough to win it. So
100%. It's a very hard game to call. To me, I think Armagh have a better bench. They're going to grind it. They can ground you down and wear you out. And their supporters will have a massive influence. I know my wife's cousin, Myra Hahid, Katie Club in Armagh. She's based in Australia this 6-8 years. She's out there with her family. And she surprised her folks coming home on Tuesday there. She's home for the All-Ireland final, which is just a testament to the support Armagh have, that they want to cheer on their team. So support will make a big difference towards the end of the game. When the cheer goes up in Croke Park, it can drive you on another wee bit.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to call. And as well as that, two of these teams are susceptible for messing it up in the last few minutes. Remember the 2022 game? We talked about Armagh going to penalties and not closing out games. There was a situation in 2022 before the Rian O'Neill brilliant kick from the 45-metre line to level the game, where Shane Walsh decides to kick the ball across the field to an Armagh player, and eventually there's a turnover, and Armagh go down the other field, end of the field and win it. So, like, there's that kind of element, a kind of a chaos element to this game as well, which makes it even more difficult on who you're backing to win this game as well.
You need a wee bit of luck as well, like, and it's the same with the hurling last week. You could flick a coin here and the result could change. There was nothing in the game, went to the wire, and then word comes out during the week that Hoggy whipped the hamstring during the week. He was only playing at 50%. No luck. Unfortunate. If he wasn't fired the last day, Cork to me would have won Liam McCarthy, and that's a lot of luck riding your way as well. So you need a wee bit of luck come Sunday also.
Yeah, I'd probably make a prediction, but like you, Stephen, it's very difficult to make a prediction until throw-in, when you see the warm-ups. If you see that Sean Kelly's actually fit, would you see if Soupy Campbell starts for Armagh? There's a lot of narratives around this game and who to win it. For right now, though, I'd fancy Galway, but by a point, probably after extra time. But I feel like Armagh's bench could be the difference in them winning the game as well. But such a difficult one to call. It's great. Just before we end the football championship chat, it's great that we have a final where it's a toss of a coin, who's going to win it, and 2 new teams as well. It's brilliant for the championship.
That's fantastic. Yeah, new blood, new life. It's great to see. So hopefully we get a good game on Sunday, and it's not overly defensive or that, because we want a bit of excitement. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're both, for now, back in Galway to win this game. So that is the end of the football chat on the channel. Thanks to Stephen for coming onto the podcast today, and best of luck with the Gaelic Tactics board and stuff like that. A brilliant addition to the podcast as well. So thank you, Stephen, for coming onto the podcast, and enjoy the game on Sunday.
100%. Thank you, Matthew. We'll talk. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Thanks very much. So we will move on to the next stage of the podcast now, and we'll move on to the Camogie Semi Finals just briefly for the next stage of the podcast. So we'll start off with the first Camogie Semi Final chronologically. This is on RT1 in Nolan Park, Cork against Dublin at 1:15 on Saturday. So we're going to throw up the journey to the final, or journey to the semi final, and the scores for each side. So we'll start off with the Rebels here. They beat Wexford by 115 to 1-6, beat Down 421 to 1-7, beat Clare by 219 to 1-4, and then beat Dublin 422 to 5 points. Beat Galway as well, 216 to 1-7. They've averaged a score 317 per game and conceded an average of 1-5. For Camogie, that is unreal, and definitely Ger Manley's team have a chance of retaining the All-Ireland Senior Camogie Championship. Look at their scores throughout the season. Amy O'Connor, no surprise, on top there with 4 goals and 24 points. Katrina Mackey with 3 goals and 19 points. Cleona Healy with 11 points. Fiona Keating won 7. You've Orla Callahan there with 1-5. Clodagh Finn with 1-3 as well. Moving on to Dublin, their journey to the semi-final. So they started their run with a win a loss against Galway, 111 to 17 points. They beat Clare 18 points to 9. Beat Wexford, hammered Wexford in that game, 413 to 110. Lost against Cork, hammered by Cork in that game, obviously, 422 to 5 points in Super Value Park Keeve. Beat down by 420 to 6 points, and then beat Kilkenny in the All-Ireland quarter-final in Croke Park, 113 to 12 points. They've averaged a score 212 per game and conceded an average of 112 per game. On top of the 3 in terms of scoring for Dublin is not a surprise. It is Aisling Barr at the top there for Dublin. Scores here. Sorry about this now. Aisling Barr is top for Dublin in the scoring charts with a total of 26 points. You've Aisling Gannon with 1-9, Grace O'Shea with 2 goals and 4 points, Sinead Wilde, who got that crucial goal in the quarter-final with 2 goals and 3 points, Elise Jameson Murphy with 2 goals and 2 points, Sinead Nolan, Aoife McCartney, Aisling O'Neill and Emma Flanagan, all there from Dublin point of view as well. So, to be honest, I think this is going to be very, very obvious. I think Cork will win this game, and I think they'll win it quite comfortably. The reason for that, well, there's a few. Number one, they beat them in the group stage, Dublin, 422 to 5 points. That was an absolute hammering. Number two, you look at the scoring averages for the two sides. Cork have averaged a winning margin of around 18 points. Dublin have averaged a winning margin of 3 points. I think that is obvious enough, and who I'm going to predict to win this game, and it's going to be Cork. I think Cork will march on to the All-Ireland final in Ger Manley's first year in charge of the senior camogie team in Cork. And I think Cork definitely have a chance of winning the All-Ireland camogie title, but it depends on the other semi-final as well between Tip and Galway, which we'll discuss in a bit. But before we get on to that, we have commenting here from John McShay. Galway seem more reliable as Armagh can go walkabout of periods during games. Yeah, that's definitely a point to be made, but Galway can do it as well. Like the incident where Shane Walsh kicked the ball across in 2022, that has to be taken, into consideration as well. So we'll move on to the second semi-final of the Camogie Championship. I am backing Cork to win that game against Dublin. This is a lot more tighter in the Camogie semi-finals. Tipperary against Galway in the second of a doubleheader in Nolan Park on Saturday at 3 p.m. live on RTE1, and I'll bring up the scores and the journey to the final for both sides. So we'll start off with the league champions this year, Tipperary. They beat Waterford 1 goal and 19 points to 213. Hammered Derry 522 to 13 points. Beat Antrim 117 to 6 points. Hammered, obliterated Limerick 7 goals and 18 points to 6 points. And beat Kilkenny by 115 to 15 points. They've averaged a score of 318 per game and conceded an average of 12 points per game, which is very, very impressive for Dennis Kelly's side. Look at the scores for Tipperary in this championship campaign in the All-Ireland Camogie Championship. Provincials aren't included in this, a completely separate competition, as I'm aware, over the last few seasons. Emer McGrath has a total of 3 goals and 30 points. You have Grace O'Brien there with 5 goals and 16 points. Clodagh McIntyre with 2 goals and 10. Caught Devan with 12. Not as much of a scoring threat this season, but you have other players from the Tipperary team stepping up to the mantle. You have Roisin Howard there with 2 goals and 5 points. Emer Heffernan 1-3 as well. Cara Kennedy up there with 1-2 as well. And she got the goal in the league final against Galway, which won it for the Premier County. Look at Galway's journey to the semi-final. They beat Dublin by 17 points to 111. Drew against Wexford, 215 apiece. Hammered Down, 627 to 4 points. Hammered Clare as well, 319 to 7 points. Lost against Cork, 216 to 1-7, and then beat Waterford in Croke Park 112 to 1-9 in the All-Ireland quarter-final. They've averaged a score 217 per game and conceded an average of 110 per game. So decent enough stats for Galway, but the Cork game definitely stands out as a bit of a bad day at the office for Cathal Murray's team. Dolan is the top scorer for the Galway team with 1 goal and 25 points. Niamh Mallon with 2 goals and 18. You've Ailish O'Reilly there with 2 goals and 9 points. Niamh Nyland with 1 goal and 11. Sabina Rabbit with 2 goals and 6 points. Aoife Donoghue with 2 goals and 5. Aoife did score that crucial goal against Waterford in the All-Ireland quarter-final as well. You've also Niamh McPeak there with 8 points. Orla McGrath with 1-5. Maria Dillon has a goal to her name as well, and there's an old goal there from Dervla Coleman of Down. This is such a tight one to call. It really is. Like, you could toss a coin at this, and whatever you land on, you'll probably say the prediction for this. But the Tip have been excellent all year. They've only lost 1 game across the league and championship. That was against Waterford in the Munster Championship. And to be honest, normally Camogie fans won't count the provincial championship, so it doesn't really matter the grand scheme of things. Probably not. This is an All-Ireland semi-final, and Tip choked last year against Waterford, and that has to be taken into consideration as well, whereas Galway won the All-Ireland Championship in 2021. Normally, these players are born winners. You still have the likes of Orla McGrath in and around the panel. You still have Siobhan McGrath. You still have Aoife Donoghue. Yes, there are players missing. The likes of Emma Hilbert and Siobhan McGrath, or Siobhan Gardner, are injured for this campaign. You have Sarah Dervin and Shauna Healy out because of family commitments. You've Heather Cooley leaving the panel over the last few years because of retirement. Is this a case of new kids coming onto the block? Is this a case for Tipperary to go on and win it and reach their first All-Ireland final since 2006? I think it is. I'm going to go for a Tipperary win in this game, but it'll be a tight one. I think it'll be about 1 or 2 points in this game. It'll be a very tight one to call, but I just feel like Tipperary will have enough to win this final. But worth noting as well, if Galway reach this Camogie final, out of the 4 senior grades across men's and women's games, Galway would have reached 3 All-Ireland finals out of 4, hurling being the odd one out, obviously, with the Galway hurlers going out the group stage of the Leinster Championship. So if Galway were to reach the Camogie final, that would be some achievement for the county across Camogie, LGFA, football as well. It would be an amazing achievement for Galway in general. But yeah, that is the predictions for this weekend. So we've previewed the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship final with Stephen Gallogly for the Gaelic Tactics Board and former Monaghan Footballer, of course, and also the Camogie Semi Finals, which are happening on Saturday as well. Give the video like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks to Capture Athletics for sponsoring today's show. Forgot to mention that at the start of the program. Sorry about that. But shout out to them. If you want the best gear around, check them if you haven't already. But thanks to Capture Athletics for sponsoring the show. Thanks to Stephen earlier on for joining the show. And thanks to any of you that watched, commented, and all that in this show as well. And until next time, enjoy the finals at the weekend. Enjoy the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship final and the Camogie semi-finals. And until next week with the LGFA finals weekend, we'll see you then, and take care.